and welcome back to the Crictime Podcast. I'm your host, Mohammed Salih. Joining today on the panel is Shrey. A tough day for both of us, I would say. Chelsea fans, if you watch us on the CFC Talk podcast. But yeah, India with another loss and two losses in a row. Pakistan against in the Super Fours, and then Sri Lanka virtually knocked out of the Super Fours. Obviously, mathematically, there is still hope if Pakistan lose to Afghanistan when you guys see this, and then if India beat Afghanistan by a big margin, and then Sri Lanka beat Pakistan. So too much maths. We Indians love maths, but this is too much maths, and it shouldn't have gotten to this point. Shrey, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing? Your quick thoughts on India, Sri Lanka, and the way we played today.
I think first of all, thank you so much to have me on. It's an absolute pleasure for me on this podcast today. And again, it's been a tough day for Chelsea fans, especially with the two losses, India and that. And I think considering now on India loss, and I think a bit of complacency was here for me. And this is what happens when you haven't got a proper idea, because you change your captain, you suddenly go with the side, new coach, everything is not going to fall into place. I think they won the first match, got the group stage. I think we got a lot of things wrong against Pakistan in the second game. I think we had chances to win that game as well. We started well, but I think again, the bowling attack has been weak. I think when Jasprit Bumrah is not here, and the third pacer, I think is becoming a massive problem. Hardik Pandya should not be used as a fifth bowler. He's a sixth option. And I think again, we have lack of batting, a lack of idea. We had a massive start again against Pakistan. Also in the last game, we had 44 runs from around, I believe, 20 balls. And then from that stage, we only made 182 scores. So that's not going to work. Again, we had a good start. Rohit was playing well. They threw his wicket away. And after that, there was a stage where we had 46 balls left and our score was 110. And then we only hit like 63 runs. I think we should have scored 190 today. The bowling was again bad, and getting knocked out so early, I think this is a big reality check. I think that's a massive check that we still have a lot to do of. And I think sending your seaside when you should have sent your full team to Zimbabwe, when you should have sent your full teams to the West Indies as well. This is what happens when you give players too much rest and the match fitness is not there. I think a lot of these players are eyeing on South Africa matches to come on, Australia matches to come on. That will be played in India. But are they going to be enough? Like right now, I don't know. The opener, KL Rahul, is out of form. You have sometimes tried Surya Kumar Yadav. You have a promising player in Ishan Kishan. Then sometimes you have played Deepak Hooda, who played some fantastic performances in England. Then you drop him, then you bring him back. First, Akshay Patel was tried in a lot of games. He was given a lot of chances. Now he has been dropped. Along with that, Havesh Khan has been backed like absolutely everything. Havesh Khan, but he's not looking the bowler he has to be. And today, Ashwin played. It's a bit confusing. I think it's everything going out of place. I do want to know your opinion, but I think it's just scattering everywhere. And until we see a clear idea, I think it's going to be difficult to predict something big for India this World Cup.
Yeah, for me, firstly, like obviously a disappointing performance. You don't expect this from an Indian team of the caliber that this is. We're missing we're missing Bumrah, we're missing a few key bowlers, and bowling was the issue as well in this game, or batting as well. But I want to begin by talking about the opening of KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma. I think KL, as much as I would like to say his time's up, we know Sharma isn't dropping him. He could be putting in 5 runs a game for the next 10 games, and Sharma still wouldn't drop him. I don't know what it is with KL Rahul playing, because apparently KL Rahul तभी सिर्फ runs मारेगा जब तक orange cap है. As long as किसी tournament में orange cap है, KL Rahul के runs बनने जा रहे हैं, but उसके अलावा वो नहीं कुछ करेगा. तो for me, that's where the issue starts. When you've got two youngsters in Ishan Kishan, as you mentioned, and I would like to add Shubman Gill into that as well. Both are incredible openers who deserve a chance in this Indian team. And that Shubman Gill 100 in ODIs, obviously that's a different format, but in white ball cricket, you want someone who can get off the mark really quickly. KL Rahul is someone who can do that, but has not been doing that in recent years. But recent times. So for me, against Australia, against South Africa, मुझे Shubman को देखना है. I want to see Shubman start a game. I want to see Ishan Kishan start a game. And if they don't end up performing well in those series, then we can talk about KL Rahul maybe being that senior option. But obviously keep KL Rahul in the squad. I'm not saying he shouldn't be in the squad for the T20 or the next few series that we've got. But you need to have Ishan Kishan there. You need to have Shubman Gill there to put some, as we say in football, when you have a strong backup, then sometimes your first team player ends up performing way better because he knows his position is in danger. So with KL Rahul knowing that I'm the first name on that team sheet, he knows usko runs banane ki zarurat nahi hai. So that's one issue that I'm seeing very much in this Indian team. Obviously, fans are going to say Virat Kohli nahi khela acha sahi se, but for me, yeah, he's got what 250s in this tournament. A good score against Pakistan in the first game as well, 35 not out. So for me, he's performing well. He's performing way better than he was before. So for me, just cut him some slack. Obviously, you have these performances as a batsman where you get out. Obviously, was shot bhi bahut hi bekar shot thi. I think you're going to agree with me on that. That it was a very rash shot to play right at the start of the innings. It's something you play when you're set, when you have your eye on the ball. So Sri Lanka knew what they were doing in terms of that, and the way all three stumps fell, I was like, yeah, this is a 21-year-old youngster has just come into the Sri Lankan team who ended up getting Kohli, Huda, and Pant, all three in this innings. So good for him today. But yeah, as we mentioned, let's go back, and I'm gonna pass it on to you, and let's talk about Shubman Gill and Ishan Kishan before we move on to middle order and then hopefully the bowling situation.
I think it's Shubman Gill for me, and still I don't think he's a T20 player. I still doubt him. But my only problem with the Indian team is that you have been trying on Ishan Kishan for a long time, then you suddenly drop him. Yes, KL Rahul is still a very good player. I think he's not playing well because he lost a bit of injury time in between, so he does not have the match fitness. But there are some standards which is known as playing a player on merit. When Kishan was playing well and then suddenly you dropped him, that was not right. Then Surya Kumar was doing very well. He was opening well. He was doing well. Then you dropped him in terms of opening. Now, you dropped Deepak Hooda after the England matches where you dropped him out of the squad, did not play him. Rishabh Pant, in England matches, you played him as an opener as well. Like, where are the standards? Where are the things that are going on? Aap chahte kya? Like, what's your idea? Like, just tell us what your opener is. This is not a time to try. Aapke paas ab, like, you have only 1 month left for the tournament. And then boom, you're to Australia. The pitches where boundaries are 80 meter long, 85 meter long. Pitches where spinners won't get happy. It's not India or a Dubai where the ball is, you put Akshar Patel in, oh, the ball is turning right and good delivery. That's not going to happen. Australia pitches will be green, hard. If you play Pakistan in the first game on October 24 at MCG, Shaheen Shah Afridi running at you with a massive pace. The pitch is green. The ball is coming nicely to the bat. Your players just struggle when the left-hand bowler comes in front of them. Haris Rauf coming in front of you. Naseem Shah coming in front of you. And right now, Babar Azam Rizwan, who look absolutely unoutable right now. Unoutable they are, these two players. Yes, Azam is in a bad form, but Azam will get back to the good form we know. But I will also know your opinion. Like, why are they not deciding that, yes, I think Kohli is not to blame. The wicket can go. This happens. He has scored runs in this tournament. But still, the problem remains that because Virat has to play 3, Surya has to come 4, which really spoils the player who is a traditional number 3. I think the team was much better when Rohit was opening with Surya Kumar. Kohli was coming at 3rd. Hooda was coming at 4. That's the proper team India have to go with. I think I really don't know why. Either it's favoritism, either it's love towards a player, either it's a philosophy. I want to play Rahul and then I have to play Virat at 3. I cannot open with Surya. I think again, we just might be our biggest enemy when it comes to progress before the World Cup. And that's not just to be defeat. Defeats can happen. You can lose to Sri Lanka, you can lose to Bangladesh, you can lose even to any team. The problem that I have is where is the idea of the lineup? And I do want to know your opinion on this. What do you think is going to be lineup? Because I'm very confused so far.
मेरे लिए ना पता है मेरे लिए Virat Kohli comes into that opening conversation as well, and I say that because for RCB, for those of you who watch IPL would know, with RCB, Kohli has done well as a opener. In general, he's had those quick 30s that's required from an opener in power plays, and he's had those long innings as well where he's got a few 50s as well. Maybe not this IPL, but in general, he's got a good average as an opener, and that's something India should be looking at as well, because we say Surya at 3 or what's his name? Iyer at 3 is something that's been looked at, that's been looking at for the last few series when Kohli was rested. So maybe if you want to get a year into this team, you promote Kohli as an opener because his average is good. I know I'm going a very rogue here. We were talking about Ishan Kishan and Shubman Gill and KL Rahul, but maybe Kohli comes into that conversation as well, because and the issue that might be is because of the lack of confidence he's had, he might not be as fast as you would like him in the power plays, and you want him as someone who can just take his time and take the whole innings, or play between the 6th and the 15th over, and keep the middle order batting ticking. But for me, absolutely right in terms of youngsters getting a chance in this Indian team. If we remember 2007 T20 World Cup, when that young Indian team went to South Africa to play that World Cup, obviously I wasn't that old, but looking back in the highlights, not a lot of these youngsters had a lot of experience playing in the Indian team. And not everyone gave them a chance. And that's what we need here. We need a complete overhaul of this team and say, right, whoever's performing comes in. There's no order of seniority. There's no order of favoritism in terms of who's played more, who's got more experience, who's got more technical ability. If someone's averaging 50 in the last five games, bring them on. And if someone else is averaging 35, 40, get them out. If that means swapping them around, because T20 is a one-off game. It's not one of those test series where form needs to be found, where you play Pakistan once, you play Sri Lanka once. You don't play them week in, week out, or 5 days straight, where you need someone who can be agile and someone who can stick to the plan that's been made by the coaches and all. Moving on to middle order. A discussion about Surya, Hardik, Pant, and Pant. Let's talk about Pant pehle. Yaar, I said this a few weeks back, and I feel like the more I see of Pant, I'm like, yeah, why did I make that video? And there was a video of me saying, it's a clip of me saying on the podcast that Pant has the ability of being Dhoni as a player, maybe not as a captain. And looking at it today and looking at the last few innings, I'm like, bhai, कोई ना कोई तो आ रहा है, कोई ना कोई तो comment करेगा कि भाई क्या है यार ये. तो Pant is making sure he's proving me wrong. It's quite a good conversation to have in terms of whether you want Pant in T20s or DK. Obviously, Pant has established himself as a Test match player in the way he's played in Test matches, both in India as well as in Australia in the last few series. But your quick thoughts on Pant and DK and who should start in those scenarios?
I think for me, Rishabh Pant has to start. If you're thinking him to play him in the top 4, it doesn't mean you have to play Pant as a number 6. If you want to play a player low down the order, the player you require to finish, like in football we say finish chances, in cricket we say finishing the death overs, like getting that run, then you cannot happen. You need to have Dinesh Karthik. If you're wanting Rishabh Pant to open and to come at number 4, that's where I can agree. Now, Rishabh Pant is the most strange player I've ever seen in my life. This guy came on as a T20 enthusiast, a player hitting balls out of the ground, hitting big sixes, a rare Indian player who had the power to clear the ground with his one-handed six. And then he became one of the best test players right now, one of the best test players in the team, changing the way India plays test cricket. He became India's one of the finest ODI players. So I'm not understanding that this guy was such a good T20 player before, but now he has become a proper traditional cricketer with being great in test and ODI, but struggling in T20. I don't know why that's going on, whether in test and T20 he applies himself more, in T20 he's a bit more careless. It could be that. It could also be a lack of confidence. It could also be
but
team playing.
looking at Pant in test matches, we talk. You're saying careless. I feel like Pant is not someone who's careless, because जो test matches में उसने shots ले लिया. I don't know if you saw.
I think he's not careless in test because he applies himself. I think he's careless in T20, in my opinion.
No, but I think he's not careless, but as in he's very confident on all 3 formats in terms of the shots
but
he plays.
The last game
well.
he played against Pakistan, where he went for the sweep shot, he knew the fielder was there. He knew they were going there. I did not understand why he went for the shot. I think if you remember, we were in a very good position. I think we had a total of around 122 runs, I believe, at that stage in 13 and a half overs. And after that, we only scored 60. If Pant stayed, we would have won that game.
No, I agree with that the way he's throwing his wicket is a bit careless. But I think Pant in test matches as well, some of the shots he plays, I don't know if you remember that Anderson sweep. And I still remember that commentary of Michael Vaughan going, I don't think an Indian youngster has ever done this to Anderson, or any youngster has done this to Anderson the way. And I remember the carelessness he used to show at some of the bouncers that Anderson and Broad were bowling to him, just because he wasn't bothered enough to hit him around. So Pant is a very confident player. and I like him in this test and in this T20 team. And the reason I say that is he needs to move up the order. You're right in that. And the other issue India have, obviously, with Jadeja being injured for the next month and unsure of whether he plays the T20 World Cup or not. Agar Pant fifth aata hai, not fourth, obviously Surya is there, but fifth aata hai, Hardik maybe moves down the order. So India have an influx of middle order batsmen where if you shuffle Hardik and Pant starts performing, but then Hardik struggles. So then you have the conversation of DK coming in. And then the other issue is with Jadeja being injured, as I was mentioning, Pant is a left-hander and India do need left-handers right now in this squad. Because Jadeja coming on, as we all know, that first game against Pakistan, the way that we had a right-hand, left-hand combination, that worked for India, and we scored a few more runs than, when we were in trouble. Pakistan did the same thing actually as well, with Nawaz coming in a bit earlier, and they had a Rizwan who was right-handed and then Nawaz with left hand. So it was easier to hit off the spinners and the bowlers in general. So it is a debate that's going to happen for a while now, and I guess with the two series coming in, it'll be interesting to see who plays where and who does what kind of situation. For me, the conversation also starts with Deepak Hooda. And the reason I say that is if Rohit Sharma in this team says, I don't want to have two wicket keepers. I don't want to have Rishabh Pant and Dinesh Karthik both playing, because then I have two players who can't bowl, but two players who can only bat and keep, or essentially one is going to be fielding. So दीपक हुडा इस टीम में किसी काम का नहीं है अगर उससे बॉलिंग नहीं करानी है. अगर वो बॉलिंग नहीं कर रहा है, then दीपक हुडा is just another batter who can field at the end. And यही पिछले 2 गेम्स यही हो रहा है. पाकिस्तान के अगेंस्ट मौका नहीं मिला और आज भी कोई चांस नहीं दिया उसको बॉलिंग में. तो फॉर मी, मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा दीपक हुडा है क्यों इस टीम में. Obviously his batting is good. He's a good tail ender and a finisher to have in the end overs, but Dinesh Karthik is much better, no?
I think Hooda is a very good batsman, like he showed against England as well. I do think he can play. But I think the problem is India team has to decide if they really don't treat Hooda as a 6th bowler. Then if you're playing Hardik Pandya and Hardik Pandya is a 5th bowler, then who is going to be the 6th one? So you have to bowl him as well. Second thing, today's team had a lot of left-handers in there. Rajapaksa, Asalanka. They had, I think, Kushal Mendes, Nissanka at the top, but then Asalanka, Rajapaksa. You could have put Deepak Hooda up there to trouble them a bit as well. I think against Pakistan, you had Khushal Shah, Fakhar Zaman. You could have put Deepak Hooda in there as well. I think with Indian team right now, Hooda was in form of his life. I think Hooda can bat very well. He showed it against England as well. He can hit the ball hard. He can hit the ball out of the ground. And I just don't know why did they drop him. Like his momentum was broken. He was going in a good run. You suddenly break it. Now with Rishabh Pant is a player who can play very well in number 4. But you cannot think that Rishabh Pant is going to come in 14th over and is going to become a great suddenly. He needs 10, 15 balls to adjust and then he goes on his run. And you have to bring him a bit early as well.
Sorry, but then why is he coming at it number 7? Like, why is he coming
it's
after?
It's out of my mind. It's literally out of my mind. That why is he coming at number 7 is literally out of my mind. And this is where I think our order is absolutely ridiculous right now. Because Virat has to come at number 3, Surya has to come number 4. Now, because Surya has to come number 4, he's a natural number 3 and he has to adjust his game a bit. Now, sometimes what happens is Rohit and Rahul play so slow. Surya Kumar has to come in. Already he sees the clock and his 12 overs gone. Sometimes he comes in. Rohit and Rahul both are out and the score is 30 for 2. And this is where he's not able to play his role like he did for Mumbai Indians, where he comes at number 3, takes time, settle himself, hits some great strokes. And India is a better team if they open Virat or they open Surya. They let Virat come at number 3, and we have either a Deepak Hooda who is given the freedom to be attacking, or a Rishabh Pant at number 4. Surya Kumar Yadav is not a number 4 player. Virat Kohli is not a number 4 player. And right now, because of that, we are struggling. And then Hardik comes at number 5. So which means Rishabh Pant can only come at 6 and he's not a number 6 batsman. I think either we have to take some big calls and either we have to put Surya Kumar in the open. I also did not understood that when Surya batted so well against West Indies, why suddenly the plan to open it was shelved. I really don't know what's the idea of Rahul Dravid or Rohit Sharma. This is what happens. I'm so sorry. When the captain does not go to many twos, when the Virat doesn't go to many twos, the captain himself is confused with a combination to play. And as much as The team looks nice and happy. I think the captaincy changes and all has played a part. We are in a bit of toxicity, and the problem with the Indian team right now is the combination not right. And combination can only be right when you play regular cricket, when you play the regular players before the World Cup. I just did not understand the scheduling and everything. If you were so hell bent, why did you schedule three ODIs with Zimbabwe? You could have asked Zimbabwe, guys, can we play you five or T20s rather than three ODIs? You could have played the England test last year, but your players refused that. You could have played England last year and finished the series off. You could have asked the ECB to extend the T20 series to 5 matches, got a bit more match practice as well. And this is where the problem is. And now, what to do for Afghanistan? Now, they throw everything away, start Surya Kumar as an opener. Then you have three T20s against South Africa, three T20s against Australia. Are we going to see Surya opening, then Pant opening, then Kishan opening, then Rahul opening? And then boom, suddenly the first game of the season comes and we lose.
Yeah, for me, some of the points you said I agree with, and the one that I was gonna talk about, and it's kind of flopped my mind, but I think I'm trying to think of what exactly how to word it, but ये कहना मुश्किल है कि India hasn't got enough T20 practice. I think you'll agree with that as well. India has had a lot of practice. We've played multiple teams over the span of the last year, and there is no complaint. There should not be any complaint from the BCCI board, as well as the captain himself, saying we haven't got enough T20 matches in the calendar year. Plus the BCCI board in terms of captaincy and in terms of coach, because that is their choice. I highly doubt, obviously T20 तो थोड़ा बहुत I think Kohli खुद ही कह रहा था कि यार मुझे छोड़नी captaincy, but you're right in saying there's a bit of an environment in India, in the Indian back room where Kohli was kind of pushed out, and that's what I tend to believe, and the people I've spoken to also have similar opinions on that. So that is something that is reflected where I guess it was something that's unplanned. Kohli leaving suddenly to Kohli has left all three formats in the next 3 months. Sharma has to become captain. Sharma gets injured. KL Rahul becomes captain. KL Rahul gets COVID. You've got Bumrah as well. You've got Shikhar Dhawan as well. All these guys captaining. So India के साथ हुआ क्या है कि they've had so many options or so many matches कि every now and then team rotate हो रही है. West Indies में बिल्कुल ही अलग squad थी. Zimbabwe में बिल्कुल ही अलग squad थी. Asia Cup is a different squad. I can predict this as well. Australia, South Africa will be a very different squad as well. So yes, a lot of players get chances, but there isn't a core in this team that's playing every series. You mentioned this Kohli not playing every game, Sharma not being there, KL Rahul. अगर आपके 4 या 5 players हैं ऐसे जो set हैं जो हर game खेल रहे हैं every series, every T20 match, तो फिर आपके पास एक कोर होता है. एक कोर जब आपका बन जाएगा फिर उसके अराउंड आप रोटेट करते रहो बॉलर्स को इन टर्म्स ऑफ फिटनेस, इन टर्म्स ऑफ इंजरीज. तब आपके पास बॉलर्स आप रोटेट, इट वुडंट अफेक्ट यू एज मच, क्योंकि इंडिया ग्रुप स्टेज में एक डिफरेंट इंडिया लग रही थी. अगेंस्ट पाकिस्तान दैट विन, against Hong Kong obviously not as strong of an opponent, but against Pakistan the other night, today against Sri Lanka, this was an Indian team that was lost. And this is what's been happening with India in do or die situations. Today was a do or die situation. We lost it out of nowhere, where we could have actually won the game against a weakened Sri Lanka team who have only just found their form in the last 2 games. That thrashing that they got against Afghanistan, that was their wake-up call. Maybe this loss to Sri Lanka, obviously not as bad as the one Afghanistan gave to Sri Lanka, but this is a wake-up call for India to say, hold on, we've played X amount of matches in the last year, and we're still losing from these situations. Regardless of, I know there's going to be a lot of people in here who will say, yaar, Dubai mein batting second fayda nahi hai, harna hai hamesha. It's the toss that matters. I don't care. An Indian team with the caliber of this should not have to worry about situations like those. They should walk onto the field and say, whether we're batting first, whether we're bowling first, we are winning this game no matter what who the opposition are. And especially against Sri Lanka, against Afghanistan, against Bangladesh, against the Asian teams, other than obviously Pakistan with the strength they have. No disrespect to other fans, but realistically, when you make a list of the Asian teams or the teams in the Asian Cup, you put India, Pakistan right at the top 2. And that's a given. But this is what is unacceptable from this team's performances like these, where I guess rotations are happening even right before the World Cup. These are the final few moments of the World Cup. And let's be honest, I'm not very confident. I don't know how you feel about the World Cup, but I'm not very confident in this Indian team in the World Cup because in the World Cup, when I'm going to have Shaheen Shah Afridi, Naseem Shah, Dahani, and all these pacers from Pakistan in a bowling fast attack pitch, obviously we'll have Bumrah and all of these guys, Arshdeep maybe as well in there. But when you've got 4 of these Pakistani pacers at you at 150 kilometers an hour with the ball moving, these batters don't stand a chance the way Kohli, KL Rahul batted today. Kohli, I'll say in Australia has a good record. So I'm confident of I've still got a lot of confidence on Kohli compared to where KL Rahul, maybe Hardik Pandya, maybe Surya as well, because Surya hasn't played a lot of matches in Australia and the lack of experience he has in there.
For me, at the moment, the problem with the team is, I think, as you put it very, very well. For me, what I see in the lack of T20s is what I meant was, I think the players not wanting to go to play T20s. Like, they could have played against Zimbabwe, they could have
That's
played
what I
against
meant.
all the opposition. Uh, yeah,
I was just saying that's exactly what I meant as well. Like, as in, there
yeah,
were so
because
many
I think
rotations.
exactly, I think that's where I had a problem with. I think rotation also, I think they're forced because a lot of players put their non-availability also, which is a big problem. And I think the scheduling of IPL, ODIs, Test cricket, I think that's also not giving players a bit of rest, the mental rest they require, the psychological rest they require, the physical rest their body needs, and that's where the problems are coming. But more problem for me has been the planning. They should have already earmarked after the IPL that yes, this is the 11 we want to go with. These are the players we want to go with. Let's play them. There was no need to play 22, 23, 24, 25 players and give everybody a chance. This is not a charity where you're giving chances to everyone. Let's give him a debut. Let's give him an Indian shirt. You have to go there. You see, like what England did when England went to transformation. Yes, Bairstow is a player I really admire. Butler, Jason Roy, Johnny Bairstow, Joss Butler. And then this is the core we're going to back with. Ian Morgan has a captain. Now let's give them 50, 60 games in a row to get to their mojo. And that's what England cricket did. What we did was, okay, let's back Deepak Hooda, but 5 games, okay, let's replace him with Rishabh. Now Rishabh comes in, okay, now let's try Rishabh as an opener. Okay, now Rishabh is an opener, let's try him as a Dinesh Karthik player. This is what we have been doing. We're not learning from our lessons. We are doing multitasking for no reason. It's just like typical India asking a student to do a lot of tasks at the same time and then expecting 99 marks out of 100. I think this is what the typical Indian
I think you've put it
right
really
now
well there.
with these players. Absolutely typical thing we are doing with these players. I think ask Yudhishthir to open, Surya Kumar to open, excelling, getting 99 marks, then accepting him to come at number 4, number 3. I think I did not understand Rahul as well. Like Rahul Dravid, he like last year, every criticism was based at Ravi Shastri and he's too nice, he's too good. Now we have to have a quotient for the new captaincy as well. See, World Cup can go in any way. The World Cup can be very good, the World Cup can be very bad. It can go in very high 5 ways as well because Australia pitches also tend to help batsmen a lot because the ball comes nicely with the bat. If you take away the paces over, spinners are not there. The pitches are so good to bat on. But if you're putting on 180 on those pitches, you're going to get destroyed. You're going to get destroyed within 15, 16, 17 overs. The problem with the Indian cricket team right now, if I see properly, is we have done so many rotations that the players are not aware of the rules they want to play. No player is aware of what the role of them are. Now Rishabh Pant knows that he's going to play today number 4, but next day he's going to be asked to play number 7. Surya Kumar knows today Rahul will ask him to open and then ask him to play number 4. And except Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, Hardik Pandya, not even one batsman in this team is aware of the rule. And in
You're
the
correct.
bowling department, Bar Bhuvneshwar Kumar, who's been the child, you can say in some ways.
I
and
wouldn't
Jasprit
have Bhuvi
Bumrah.
in that convo after the last 2 performances. I don't know what you
No,
think
I
of him,
agree, but I do
but
think that the way he has been backed, I think you can say that at least he has been given a time to set himself.
no, but
Bhuvi,
okay,
Yuzvendra Chahal.
he's been a player that's been backed. You're right. He's been someone, and rightly so, not taking away with from anything that he's done for white ball cricket in India. And if I remember, he's regarded as one of the best white ball bowlers India's got, along with what's it called, Bumrah, obviously. So, but I'm disappointed in Bhuvi with the way he bowled against Pakistan and then today as well. And I say that because a player of his caliber and the player that we and the bowler that I remember is the bowler, the Bhuvi I remember in IPL in short format is the bowler in death overs who does not give more than 3 runs in an over. When Bhuvi comes on in the 18th over, 19th over, teams know कि यार इस ओवर में 3 रन से ज्यादा नहीं मिलने वाले, 4 रन से ज्यादा नहीं मिलने वाले. अगर कोई लकी शॉट लग गई तो 1 6 maybe in that over, but that's it. और उस टाइम पे मुझे याद है बुवी की जो लाइन और लेंथ होती थी वो स्ट्रेट ऑन द लेग स्टंप होती थी एंड स्ट्रेट ऑन द पैड्स ऑफ द प्लेयर, नहीं तो राइट यॉर्कर right on the mid stump. It never was a try a Yorker wide off stump. यार वो इतनी wides दी हैं, 2 या 3 wides, दो. And then the issue is when you keep bowling in that area or in that block hole, that wide off stump or that wide line, then batters know what they do. Obviously, when you're playing cricket at such a high level, batter थोड़ी ऐसे बैठा रहेगा कि यार वो वाइड ऑफ स्टंप करा रहा है, कोई मसला नहीं, छोड़ते रहो. वो भी अपनी पोजीशन चेंज करके नेक्स्ट बॉल hit it off for a 6. So I wouldn't have Bhuvi set stone in this team. I don't think at least for now. I might go with, obviously Avesh Khan being injured right now, but when he comes back, and then Harshal Patel is someone that I'm looking forward to having back.
I think for me also, I think they've not prepared very well when they were preparing for Australian pitches. They need to understand that what are the type of spinners you're going to play in Australian pitches. I think one leg spinner and 2 leg spinners are just enough. You need to have just one spinner in Australian pitches. The pitches are going to be fast, quick.
मुझे बस जडेजा चाहिए.
I think Jadeja is both type because you can give Jadeja 1-2 overs, and I think you have to go with 6 ball attack. And I think India's pace attack has to be in terms of the bowling attack. Ravindra Jadeja the 6th option, Pandya the 5th option. Then you've got Yuzinder Chahal who can bowl the slower deliveries, and the Australian pitches, the big boundaries can come in play. You need Jasprit Bumrah up there, which is a certainty. And now with Bhuvi being back, he will play, so that's a big surprise. But who is going to be the third pacer? We know Hardik is there, we know Ravindra Jadeja is there, and we also know that along with Yuzinder Chahal will gear, and we also know Bhuvi and Bumrah are there. But who's going to be the 6th one? Is it going to be Arshdeep? Is it going to be Avesh Khan? Or who else is going to be? Because Arshdeep Singh is a proper death bowler, but can his bowling suit Australian pitches? I'm not fully sure. Avesh Khan can work, but he can also be very expensive in that as well. You go towards other players who haven't tried. I don't know why Natarajan
Harshal maybe. I would go with Harshal.
But Harshal relies a lot on slower deliveries and changing the pace of the ball. But
Australian pitches, that's what I know. I know Australian pitches move a lot, and it might go against him. But I would have him in the squad because I don't want India to have 4 pacers who can hit the deck hard. I want 2 who can hit the deck hard with Bumrah and Bhuvi maybe if he's back in form, or Shami if he's ready to play as well.
I think Shami though has not been played even in one match. So Shami though it looks like they're not even taking him to the T20.
No, it's because he's injured. That one I know that we know that he's injured. So hopefully when he's back for the World Cup, if he's back for the World Cup, that's someone he can take. But for me, Bumrah, Shami is the ideal hit the deck bowlers. You've got someone like Harshal Patel who can give you that middle overs bowling, along with Hardik Pandya. That's your 4 good pace bowlers or bowlers who fit in the Australian pitch category. And then you've got someone like Jadeja as an all-rounder who can give you a bat ball if he's ready, obviously. If not, Akshar Patel's the replacement that I would go with. And then you have Yuzi as well in that. So you've got 6, but 2 of those are batting all-rounders who can, or all-rounders who can give you both with the bat and the ball. So you go with 6. You don't go with 5. You always have that backup because Pakistan ने भी ये किया था एशिया कप में पहले मैच में. They didn't have that 6th option. And even though they didn't use that 6th option in the second match against India, but they kept that 6th option because they realized कि यार नहीं, पांचों को ball out करना मुश्किल है, because when you've got someone who's going after a certain bowler, he'll go after him for 4 overs and that's going to be expensive. So that is something India will have to be very careful with in terms of balancing between all-rounders and bowlers and batters in the team.
I think this is where I think we have caused us a massive problem. I think not trying to Trajan in this series as well is a shocker, because that guy can give you great Yorkers as well. Not trying Deepak Hooda on Australian pitches where a spinner against left-handers can work, and as a batsman can do a job for you as well. I think Ravindra Jadeja, is he going to bowl in Australian pitches? I think that's also a big problem as well. And I think we have put ourselves in big trouble. I do hope we have a great World Cup. Again, if we do not do well in the World Cup, our biggest enemy is ourselves. Yep. Rotating so much, excessively rotating, not playing players in the right position, asking Rishabh Pant to play 7-4-1, then 7-4-1, asking Surya Kumar to open, then play number 4, then play number 5, then play number 3. You are just going to confuse the mind of the player right now, and in making the multitask, you are destroying the one thing they're good at, and that's what I think we are doing right now. I hope I'm wrong, but at the moment, I think we might even reach a semi-final, but these problems will bite us in the back.
Bilkul sahi. Obviously, rightly said in terms of India's own enemy is itself and this team itself. There's no other way to put it than this. But moving on from India, we've spoken about India quite a lot, but just quickly covering up the other games from this week as well. Obviously, Australia Zimbabwe was an interesting series. Australia losing a few matches there as well. So it doesn't seem obviously that was very interesting to see. But in terms of ODI as well, Australia New Zealand kicking off today first ODI. Australia getting New Zealand setting a target of 232 in all the 50 over, playing out the 50 overs, and then Australia chasing it down in 45 overs. So that is something that's going to be very, very interesting to see, because obviously Australia ki ODI team or T20 team is totally similar in terms of bowling attack, and what Australia is doing is the fact that they're playing ODIs. I know it's a very different. It's a lot different from T20s, but at least they're playing it on Australian pitches where they can practice and their bowlers can have an idea of what to do before they head out for India. For me, it's still concerning कि यार Indian pitches पे Indian players को ज़्यादा experience मिलेगा या नहीं, क्योंकि India के pitches are made for spinners. It's a spin heaven. Ashwin, Jadeja, Akshar Patel, Yuzi, these guys are going to go ham on those pitches. And then compared to Australia, where these bowlers won't even be looked at. So I don't know how much these two series is at home are going to help India. But in terms of the squads that have been announced already, Shrey, just your quick thoughts on the South African squad, which has been announced since the last time we spoke about it. I don't know if you've seen it or not yet.
So South African squad I've not seen that, but I do know that Deval Brace will be debuting in the series, so that's a big up to him as well. The young kid who played very well in the IPL as well. I think on Australia, I think the biggest problem is I think we need to be more stronger. And in this series against Australia, we need to prepare proper batting tracks where the bounce is good. We need to be prepared for Australia playing spin tracks. Ashwin getting 2 wickets, Jadeja getting 2 wickets is not going to work for us anymore. I think the Australia-Zimbabwe series was very, very good. I think Zimbabwe winning the last match was needed. They should have also beaten India, and they were very, very close. They beat Bangladesh as well. And I think Zimbabwe right now doing a very, very good job, especially the leg spinner troubled Australia a lot. So we need to understand that as well. I think Yuzvendra Chahal in the World Cup is main. They lost 5 wickets to Ryan Bull, and I think that's a big concern as well. Today, Australia again showed their flexibility. Maxwell taking 4 wickets, and today Australia won the game. But again, the batting is very, very deep, but I still see their T20 lineup and ODI lineup being different because Cameron Green is not a part of the T20 lineup as well. So that's a different factor. But you see the Australia confidence that they've announced their T20 World Cup squad, T20 World Cup squad 2 months before the World Cup. And India, we do not even know what's going to be the 11, let alone 15. That is some confidence, and that is showing you how far Australia are when in terms of progress they have made and how far the other countries are. Even with Pakistan, I can tell you they're 15. With even England, I can tell you they're 15 because Bairstow is injured and Jason Roy has been dropped. But with Australia, India, that's uncertain.
That's a big issue. That's a big concern as well. I agree with you on that. But I'll cut some slack on India. I think we've काफी बुराई हो चुकी है India की पूरे इस podcast में. But let's give them the benefit of the doubt कि यार Asia Cup चल रहा था, तो maybe they're concentrating on this and then thinking about what they want to do for the World Cup. But yeah, talking about South Africa and them announcing their squad, Bavuma, obviously the captain leading the team into this World Cup. It'll be interesting to see, and obviously South African. It goes without saying, South Africa or fast bowlers. It's like Pakistan and fast bowlers. So very exciting to see Ngidi Ball, Nokia as well, Rabada, who's going to be there, and they've got the perfect spin options as well with Tabriz Shamsi being in that squad as well. So very, very strong squad from South Africa. Maybe look to cause some upsets. Not a lot of teams will have hope in South Africa taking it far, but I feel like they could be the dark horses of this World Cup in terms of the balance they've got in their team. And if their batters, obviously, Markram's got a lot of experience. Miller's got a lot of T20 experience in India playing from big teams and big games, and Bavuma, obviously the captain himself, and Quinton de Kock, we know how special he can be. यार जब वो मारने आता है ना, तो भाई सामने कुछ भी हो वो सीधे बैक एंड स्टार्ट में जाने वाला है. More than the bowlers, the fans need to watch out for the balls in the crowd when Quinton de Kock goes for it. But yeah, It's going to be an exciting few months for cricket. It's going to be very exciting. Obviously, India, busy schedule right after this Asia Cup. There is still the slightest of hopes. Let's see if India can make it to that final. And realistically, even if we do as Indians, we should not be celebrating that kind of way to enter the final, in my opinion. As in, celebrate the Asia Cup win if we win. Not saying that, and not that we don't deserve it, but as in, we can't shy away from the issues that we've discussed today. And I say that because we can't rely. क्या था T20 World Cup maybe at one point, how many people were watching the New Zealand game against, what was it, against Namibia? I think it was Namibia they were playing against, and how many Indians were sat there cross fingers saying कि यार अगर an upset happens here, India qualifies, and we were like, yeah, we shouldn't be in this position. As the team we've got, we shouldn't be in a position where we need to rely on other teams to qualify. We should be the first team on that list to qualify for the next round. So, Shrey, once again, thank you very much for coming on. Had a wonderful chat. Really enjoyed talking to you and speaking to you on both the cricket podcast as well as the football podcast today. Big shout out to Shrey for coming on, obviously very late in India, and the fact that he's still sitting here having a conversation very much. Obviously after such a tough day, you think weekend acha gaya, pehli baar Chelsea jeeti, and then suddenly Pakistan lose, and then Pakistan win, and then India knocked out of the Asia Cup as well. So it's going to be a boring next few days until Fulham play Chelsea in the EPL. So Shrey, thank you very much for coming on. Really appreciate it. For all of you guys watching, make sure to subscribe. Channel ko subscribe karo, like karo. Add us to your playlist if you're listening to an audio platform, and follow all of our social media pages. Just made those major pages very much fresh, so would love to see your guys' opinions on there. Thank you very much once again, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Stay safe.